Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 99 of Let's Go Racing with David Starr. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be joined by ARCA driver Andy Jankowiak as we will get his perspective on his time racing in the ARCA series as well as the NASCAR modifieds. And we'll get to know Andy coming up in just a little while from right now. Plus, we'll have our news and notes. We'll have our Ask David segment with questions for Andy coming up at the end of the show, and look forward to all of that. David is off this week. He's finishing up final preparations for Daytona, but we'll hear from him on next week's show. As always, Dominic Olagon from the RacingExperts.com is here with me as well. Dom, we actually have a race to look back and talk about. The Clash in the books. Martin Truex Jr. gets it done. I got to tell you, Dom, was it the best racing? No, but it was a great event, and we saw a lot of passing. It certainly was exciting, but there was certainly a few bumps and turns along the way to get to that finishing point.
Kind of looked like you and I at the go-kart track there, the corners going back and forth, of course, in the 45th installment of the Clash. This is the third year or second year, Tyler. It was held at the LA Coliseum, and just the third time in its history that it wasn't run at Daytona. And Martin Truex becoming the winner, the 25th different winner of the Clash, and the 6th different in the last 6 years. And 8 times, Tyler, the winner of the Clash has gone on to win the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Joey Logano, the most recent to do that. But if that racing that we saw over the weekend is any indication of what we're going to see throughout the year, it's pretty exciting to some degree, but gosh, a lot of cautions too, a lot of caution-filled races. As Larry McReynolds would say, cautions bred cautions.
Yeah, they did. And Martin Truex gets the win. Martin didn't have his best year last year, and we heard him say that, he was going to come back with vengeance, that this year he felt like he had something to prove. There's been speculation it could be his final year in the NASCAR Cup Series. We know about the recent breakup that he and Sherry Pollock's had. Just a lot going on for Martin Truex. And, he's clearly coming out determined this season, Dom.
He said he was racing mad, that they were very, very mad about the results from last year, missing the playoffs, not running well at a lot of the tracks where they had their bread and butter over the last few years. But Martin Truex looked really strong on Sunday night and had the best car, it seemed like, as the night went on. His car got better and led those final 25 laps. He's got a lot to race for this year. That chip on the shoulder, came back for one more year. Tyler, it's weird to think that Martin Truex Jr. didn't win a points race last season. And here we are opening the season with the Clash. I think he's hungrier than ever for Daytona. And he did say to some reporters that this certainly does provide momentum, because to win any race at this level is so hard. Points race or non-points race. So this certainly gives him and his team some momentum entering Speed Weeks.
We'll bring Andy in here in just a second, but a couple more thoughts on the Clash here. The other big winner of the night, Tom, I thought was Richard Childress Racing. Austin Dillon was up front. Kyle Busch, he had lost some positions there, but made his way roaring back to the front with a top 3 finish there. A lot of questions about if Kyle Busch was going to have enough speed moving over to RCR, but a good start, it seemed like, on a Sunday night for RCR and Kyle Busch.
Right out of the gate, it looked like Richard Childress Racing was the big winner from the Clash. The 2 drivers filling out the podium, Austin Dillon in second, Kyle Busch in third, and I believe Dillon was second or third in last year's race too. So Dillon certainly not a sleeper. That's certainly not a fluke. And Tyler, I wonder too, with the addition of Kyle Busch and Austin Dillon being the big reason that Kyle Busch came over to RCR and Dillon really giving that pitch to him, I wonder if we're going to see a different Austin Dillon this year, a little more competitiveness, a little bit more fire to him, and potentially a breakout year.
Yeah, maybe so. The other thing too, with this being such a clunky race with the 15 cautions that occurred, I think this race is just fine as an exhibition race. There was close to 4 million people that watched, 50,000 attendance, which is double the last time the Clash was in Daytona. I think it suits its purpose. Auto Club not going to run next year. Talk about this potentially being a replacement points race. Dom, there's other places you can go that doesn't fit to have this be a points race. I think this is fine exactly as it is to kick off the season, the week before the Super Bowl, exhibition, no points in LA and everything. To me, it doesn't need to be anything more than that.
I would agree with that because there are plenty of other venues, certainly within NASCAR's ownership, that could bring in, like you could bring back a second Michigan race, right? I'm just spitballing here, or you could bring another.
And it's only a one-off that you need next year.
Exactly. So I don't see that happening. I think Joey Logano said it best too when they asked him post-race about that. He said, it'd be ridiculous. How are you going to fit all the cars on the track? You even have the pace car bumping the tail end of the lead lap in the clash. There's no way you're going to fit 40 cars on that track. No way.
All right. Before we bring in Andy, Dominic, give us the rundown. Tell us about him.
So Andy has been racing in the NASCAR ARCA Menard Series for a couple of years, limited schedule, and clicks off the top 10 finishes more often than not. So Andy's got a pretty cool story, and we're looking forward to hearing more from his perspective on it. But he hails from New York. He drives the number 73 Ford in the ARCA Menard Series, and he'll be fielding a car next week in Daytona in the ARCA season opener. And we asked Andy to come on the show earlier this week, and he said, sure, let's do it. So Andy, we appreciate you coming on. Let's go racing.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me. It's awesome to be here.
So I'm going to fill the void of David Starr. One of the classic things that David does when we begin the show, I'll tell our guests to take it back to the beginning. Take us back to where it all started for you, where that love of racing came from, and that journey that it took you from where you were at as a young man to where you're at today, and what really fueled that passion.
Well, certainly for me, it's a long family history in racing. My mom and my dad both raced, and my uncle, so I was kind of brought up into it. And I had my first opportunity to race probably later than most. I was a teenager in a go-kart, and that's what we could do back then. So that's what I did, and I made the best of it and made the jump into 4 cylinders and won pretty quick, and got into a street stock around age 15, and just sort of progressed. And I got into the open wheel type modifieds towards the end of my teen years, and we were just kind of able to keep winning, and got a couple opportunities in midgets, and we had some success, and started winning in the modifieds. And then we did a lot of indoor midget racing, and we had success with that, and got to my 30s, and just kind of felt like I wasn't getting everything that I wanted out of racing, and took a chance and purchased a car from Kenny Schrader with my life savings, and ended up, and that was our first ARCA car, and we went to Daytona, and with a lot of help from a lot of close friends, inside the NASCAR world, that helped me kind of get that thing really tuned up. We went and we had a strong run, and we were able to put together sponsorship, and the rest is history till now. So we're still fighting that fight and digging, and certainly feel like we got a lot of goals to go chase and hills to climb, and we're still doing it every day.
I love that. When you hear about that story and purchasing the car from Kenny Schrader and going down Daytona with your life savings, I mean, you look back on that now, 2 years removed. I mean, would you say that investment has paid off?
Yeah, that worked out better than that. Wasn't my plan. It wasn't my plan to be here 2 years later, and we've run 15 ARCA races now, and I figured I had enough to get the car, and I could probably get through Daytona and then sell what was left, and just say I did it. That was kind of always the plan, and it just turned into something that I don't think I ever really imagined. But I'm happy to say and proud to say that with all the help and support of friends and family and everything, that once it was available to us, where we could see that there was a realistic opportunity to go ARCA racing and do so successfully, that I had enough people behind me that were able to push me and keep me going, and do all the little things that it takes to be to put an ARCA car on the track. I mean, it's quite an undertaking, and we do this with volunteers and family, friends, and just whatever it takes. So it takes a lot, and I'm just grateful for everybody that's involved that makes it happen for me.
That's awesome, Andy. Andy, tell me about kind of what you got going on this year. What's your plans for 2023 entail?
So right now, we're kind of looking at still sticking with most of the NASCAR the Cup conjunction weekends. Probably the only one that I think we might miss might be that first Phoenix, because I don't think we're going to be ready in time. So we're looking at an 8 to a 10 race schedule, kind of sticking with that theme. Possibly doing Toledo at the end would be the only true ARCA short track race that I think we'd probably look at. But I've got some new partners this year. I took kind of what I started with a lot of help and with Andy J Racing, and combined it with an endeavor of Kevin LaPierre and Andy Seiss, and we kind of formed one race team called Class Motorsports, and they're going to take the car ownership roles, and I'm going to sit back and kind of be the driver, and we're going to see how far that can go. So pretty excited about that opportunity, being able to work with Kevin and Andy, and being able to focus more on the driving end of things, and kind of let them more worry about the ownership roles and getting the car ready. And I'm still going to be involved. I'm still in the shop. I'm still, chasing some sponsors and kind of doing all the things that I was doing, but the workload's been basically, cutting 2/3 now, because I have some partners with this, and it's going to make me be able to focus a lot more on the driving end of it, which is kind of where I need to focus. And I feel like with their help and what we have going on, I think we can really turn some heads, and I'm not just saying that.
Like it. And when we were prepping for the show earlier this week, David and I were talking a little bit about your backstory. I think it definitely takes, we should have a little closer look at that. And during that ARCA race a couple of years ago, definitely remember Fox Sports spotlighting you and talking about how you were delivering pizza. And at one time, the tips you were making on those deliveries was going towards ultimately making that race car purchase. So take us back to that, and how long that drive and just that determination from when you were doing that, delivering pizzas, to ultimately buying that race car.
I was delivering pizzas 2 hours ago. I still do it. So, it's crazy. My life's changed, but it hasn't. It's changed in a way where my racing's becoming successful. And my lifestyle outside of that really hasn't changed. I still, we go to the shop at night, and we all work jobs during the day, and it's just it's just a lot different, because we're chasing bigger goals, and when the weekends come and we're out at bigger racetracks now, we obviously have a lot more help with the ARCA thing, and it is quite a bit different in the racing world. But as far as what we do, I'm still up here in Buffalo, New York, and we're still building race cars. And I just got back from Atlantic City running the indoor 3/4 midgets, which we do every year. So I'm blessed to say that things are as different as they are. They're still kind of the same, and that's a beautiful thing. And I really wouldn't have it any other way. So it's still my uncle going over the wall, changing tires, and my family's over there on the pit crew, and my stepkids go to all the races that they can go to, and we still have a lot of fun with it. So every aspect of it, I still use the same spotter for the modifieds, and my girlfriend does all the paperwork for the ARCA thing. So my mom does everything that she does to kind of keep everything organized and helps with the food. And it's definitely as big as it's gotten, and it has changed. And we're going to the racetrack now with a full-fledged ARCA team and big trailers and all that. But it's to us, it's just it's still the same, and the goals are still the same, and we're still trying to go out there and compete with everything we got. And we're just Saturday night racers doing NASCAR right now. So kind of cool.
That's incredible. What a story to have the whole family along for the ride here. And just with that, of your family being a part of that, Andy, how cool is that? Like just to have them around to be a part of what you're doing here and be along for the ride for this journey.
It's unique, and it's so special. And obviously we're growing a little bit, and things are changing a little bit, and we have Andy Seiss is full-time on the cars, and there's more people involved. But like I say, it still really is a family affair. Like I say, my uncle's going over the wall. My childhood mentor, Ricky Hochter, is going over the wall. He's our jack man. Um, we still have the same crew chief that we started with, and um, my family friend Adam, he's been doing the fuel right from the get-go, and he's still our fuel man, and we're still kind of doing things exactly the same, and we're just adding to it, and that's kind of, this year is going to be different. It's like we're not really changing anything. We're just taking what we have, and we're kind of making it better. And we've been successful because of those people, because everyone in my family, they are very, very smart racing people, and keeping them on board, I think it's not just, special for me. I think it's a key to our success. Is like I say, we have years and years of racing knowledge behind my racing effort, and that's how we got here. And if we can, that's how we're going to stay here.
I love it. I love it. And I got to backtrack here a couple of steps, because it's just been replaying in my mind over and over again. And I'm genuinely curious, as far as delivering the pizzas and sorts. Have you gotten the chance to use the race car to go take some pizzas out, or are people recognizing you when you go to take the pizzas to them? Like, hey, you're the dude that runs in the ARCA series. You're the race car driver.
Once in a while, like I say, Buffalo isn't exactly NASCAR country, so yeah, a little bit. Like, there are people that'll know me and recognize me, and certainly everybody at my work has kept an eye on things, and they're all, everyone here is a Buffalo Bills fan or a Buffalo Sabres fan, so they're all sports fans. So they definitely appreciate the competition aspect of it, and they've been supportive. And I've worked at the same restaurant for, God, with Halloween 2007, 16 years.
Wow.
So the owners go out to a few races every year, and like, we're gonna have their name on the modified this year. We already talked about that, and so it's definitely pretty cool. And we'll have a good race, and everyone will watch it on TV, and I'll go back to work, and everyone will pat me on the back, and then I'll punch in, and then they'll start barking at me to go to work, and then it's all over, and you just go back to normal. So kind of what I love about it too. So
I love it.
so it's pretty cool.
Well, we got to know then, what's your favorite kind of pizza?
Well, actually, I'm a vegetarian. So
Oh wow.
So I'm in the middle of indoor midget season. Well, actually, it's over now. But so part of the thing with the indoor midgets, you have to get as skinny as you can get. So I'm still on my diet right now. So I haven't thought about a pizza in a long time. But definitely when they do the buffet, when they put like the mushroom banana pepper pizzas out there, definitely those are my jam for sure. So sometimes I'll sneak a piece.
Pineapple.
Yeah. Let me ask you a age-old question here. Dominic and I disagree on this, and I think, this probably divides our friendship, this question. So, Andy, this is all you here to kind of settle this once for all. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Sure. Whatever you want on a pizza.
Oh, no,
Thank you, Andy.
no.
Man. Thank you, man. You just made my night. Thank you.
It's your pizza. You put whatever you want on it. I'll tell you what, though, if you order an anchovy pizza, like, you are my first stop. I don't care where you are in the order. I cannot wait to get those things out of my car. Your car will stink for 2 days after one of them things. They don't pop up much, but as soon as I get one, I know.
What's the weirdest combination you've seen? Speaking of anchovies and all the different toppings, right? Anybody can put whatever they want on pizza, but what's the oddest combination you've delivered?
Oh God, you wouldn't believe some of the things people come up with, but I've always been kind of weirded out by the meatball pizza. It just feels like there's too much going on. So that'd probably be my least favorite. But yeah, people come up with, people order them with no sauce or no cheese. I mean, they order them upside down, right side up. Just, if your money's good, we'll make it. So that's kind of the cool thing about not being a chain place, where we're independently family-owned restaurant. So it's always a little bit different. So, and we're I've always had very interesting clientele too. So keeps it fun. We're right in the city of Buffalo and North Buffalo. So not a lot of boring days over there, for sure. So
Yeah.
I always have fun time at work.
Well, Andy, back to the racing side. I know you mentioned kind of the stuff you got going on the ARCA Menard side. What about the modifieds? What's going on there? Your time there running modifieds over the years?
Well, we'll see. So 2021, we couldn't lose a race, and then 2022, we just were horrible. all year. I think Hoosier changed something with the tires, and we had a different rear suspension, and we just could never get into the track. I spun out on my own more times in my life last year than I ever in my entire life. So we're changing into a more conventional rear suspension this year. We're kind of rebuilding the car. So I'm excited to see what we can do. The Race of Champions series postponed their 250 lap Race of Champions race, which we are the defending winners of. It was in 2021, but that was the last time they ran it. So I got the big trophy right there with the stuffed animals in it, if you can see it. So that's like the Stanley Cup. You get to hang on to it for about until the next race. So we still got it. So they're going to make that race up the same day as Talladega. So we are going to explore the possibility of flying out of Talladega and trying to make it there to Erie, Pennsylvania, Saturday night, the same day as the race. Try to defend that trophy right there. So we'll see how that goes. But mostly probably following the Race of Champions series with the modified and the 2-barrel car, and then venturing out as we can. I'd like to get onto some tri-track modified series stuff. Don't anticipate running much NASCAR tour stuff, just because it takes a lot of focus to really get a car right for that. And right now we kind of got all our eggs in the ARCA basket. But I have a friend, Steve Mendoza, that owns a car, and if he needs a driver, there's definitely a possibility of doing that too. So we'll see.
I was going to say, Andy, you've racked up a huge following on Twitter, Facebook. You're really interactive with the fans, and just the spotlights we've seen on you over the years. I actually am surprised we haven't seen you quite make a truck series or Xfinity series start just yet, but who knows, maybe soon.
Yeah, and I think with my new team, I think that there's definitely ambition to do that, and certainly I need to be on point as a driver and make sure that I'm earning that opportunity. And so we'll kind of see. So the last couple of years, I feel like we probably have lost more races in the shop than we have on the track with the ARCA stuff, and a lot of our struggles. We just probably doing too much, kind of trying to do stuff up here in Buffalo, and we're probably kind of shooting ourselves in the foot and missing out on some good finishes for sure. So I think this year with Andy Seiss involved, and we're going to be relocating the team to Statesville, North Carolina, and doing stuff down there and having a lot more help. I think that we're going to have an opportunity to really showcase what we're all capable of, me as a driver, and then the cars and everything else. And I think if we get to a point where we prove that we belong, then I think the opportunities are going to come. And that's certainly where I want to be, and that's the goal for me is to keep climbing the ladder, and that's all I've ever done. It's all I know how to do, and that's what I want to keep doing until someone tells me I can't do it no more. So yeah, you're not too far off with that.
Andy, what are some of the goals that you want to accomplish? We heard from Dominic, talk about truck or Xfinity starts in the future, anything like that. What are some things you would like to do?
I would say, the goal, I think, for all of us, in racing is I'd like to start a cup race at some point, or, I want to be in a cup race. I don't want to, start and park. I'd like to, that would be the ultimate goal someday down the road. I think that's what we're all fighting for, is to reach that level and say you raced on the highest level, whether it's a race or whatever it ends up being. But, that's always the dream, and that's always the goal. And, certainly you got to do things one step at a time. And I think what's realistic in the near future would probably be something like a truck or an Xfinity ride. But if you would have talked to me 10 years ago, I would have said that, racing ARCA even once would have been kind of far-fetched, lofty, hard to accomplish. And we were fortunate enough to get this far. So we're certainly not ruling anything out, and we're going to keep working hard.
Love
That's
it.
great.
So I have to ask you too, and again, I'm taking 5-6 steps back here, Andy, but the fact that you work for the independent pizza chain, or the pizza company, I should say, and I got to ask, did you have to put in your time off request months in advance to make sure they gave you the time off, or they give you any hard time about getting the races you needed off?
So basically my deal with them is I had to plug my thing in here, so I'm moving around.
Oh, you're good.
My deal with them is if I can get my shifts covered, they won't fire me. That's always been our understanding. So for the last like 5 years or whatever, I've been responsible for 40 hours a week, and I'll sit there on my flip phone and I will get them covered every single week. So this year, just with all the stuff going on, and now we're kind of running the team out of North Carolina, I have cut my shifts back. I only have 3. So I work Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So anytime I got to disappear for a while, I just sort of get everything in line. Certainly this has been a weird week, so I'm not going to be able to work. I'm leaving Saturday, which means I have to miss the Super Bowl. So I'm still trying to figure out who's going to work, because I work the whole day on Sunday. So
That's a
no
big
one's
day
too
for
thrilled
pizza.
about me taking off for that. And every driver already works, so it's not easy to get it covered. So I'm gonna have to negotiate and work some deals out. But I'm going in tomorrow, and I'll get it all sorted out for sure. So, but like I say, the owner, he's a big sports fan. He's a super cool guy. So as long as I don't, leave him without a driver, then he's okay with me doing what I got to do.
That's great. That's awesome. We got to get like one of these pizza companies or something's got to sponsor you. Make you their guy. I mean, we had Carl Long on the show a while back, and Carl made his way in the sport. Dominic, correct me if I'm wrong here. He was delivering pizzas for Domino's, and then Domino's was sponsoring his car, right?
I believe so. And I want to say he might have worked his way up. It's like a franchise owner or down the line or something, but Domino's did help springboard his career. So definitely the pizza deliveries. I think he was the fastest pizza delivery guy too. And he would deliver in a Volkswagen Beetle, if I remember correctly, Tyler.
Yeah, it's a great story. So Andy, that's what we need to get. We need you to be the pizza guy for somebody.
Yeah, if that opportunity comes, I'm all in. Right now, I'm all about selling wheeling lights for all the safety vehicles out there. They are they provide all the sirens and everything for all the safety vehicles that you see on the road, and Florida safety systems, and all the guys that are supporting me right now. So they're the guys I'm worried about. So if the day comes, that'll be great. But right now I'm selling used cars for automotive consultants and everything else. So that's what we're
Very
focused
cool.
on for sure.
Dominic, we got time for a couple more questions before we move on here. Anything else on your end?
Man, no, I think it's really cool to hear your story, Andy. And just like, I think a lot of people can relate to what you're doing, and the fact that you're working your 9 to 5, you're working as hard as you can, but you still have drive, you have determination. Tyler, stories like these that I love hearing, because that tells me that no matter what obstacles come, Andy's going to try his best to get to his goals. And like he said, if somebody told him 10 years ago that he would have made an ARCA race, wouldn't have believed it. But he's doing it. He's living the dream. He's continuing to bust down those doors. And I'm really excited to see what this season holds for you and in the coming years as well.
Yeah, I'm sort of on top of the world right now. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how I got here. If you gave me if you started me out 20 years ago again, you gave me 100 tries, I could probably never get back here because I don't know how I did it. I am just very, very lucky, and not a day goes by that I don't look back and appreciate what's going on, and appreciate the fact that it could be gone tomorrow. So I'm trying to take in every moment, and hopefully keep being successful and keep going with it. But we're just lucky. We got all the right people involved. And when I mention all my sponsors, like automotive consultants and Florida safety systems, when I'm out running my little midget car in Atlantic City last week, like, they're all there. They're all in the pits with us. They're going out to lunch with us. They're going out with my family, going out and getting drinks after. Like, all these guys that are on my car, they're becoming like, close family members. And it's just awesome to say that, we're kind of doing all this together, and everybody's just on the same page with it. And that's just what's keeping all this going and springboarding it. And I don't know, it's impossible to plan. It's impossible to imagine if you don't know how it's going to go. And I've just been on this journey for the last 2 years, and everything that's just happened, I've just welcomed it and tried to make the best of it. And it just keeps working out. So we'll see.
Well, to tie it all together and just hearing about the determination and all the people that you have surrounding you, somebody's listening to this, what would be your, I guess, advice you could give to somebody that's wanting to do what you've done, to climb the ranks, to make that first national touring start, or to be able to climb the racing rung, what advice would you have for them?
Well, I'm certainly no genius or I'm nothing special. I'm just a person that probably took a chance and has been blessed with a lot of help. And like I say, that there's probably 1,000 people involved that make this all work, and if you took 10 of them away, it probably wouldn't work. It takes all these people doing something, and it's not every single person that helps me out does something significant and makes it work. And if, like I say, if you take one link out of the chain, I don't think it would work. And I kind of watch how all that works, and like I say, it's humbling. And it's nothing that's lost on me as far as how lucky we are to be able to do this. And the only thing I guess, if I were to give any advice or say anything for myself, or what role I've played in this, is just the initial step to call Mr. Schrader and take that chance. I got to my 30s and we were winning races, and the opportunity really wasn't there. And I guess just taking the initiative and kind of going and trying to find your own way. Alan Kulwicki once said that when he came to North Carolina to try to find a ride, he couldn't find one. So when he realized an opportunity didn't exist, he created his own opportunity. So and then I listened to interviews with Ryan Preece about how he got into the sport, and when he said no one knocked on the door, he kicked the door down. So you gotta take a little bit of initiative. There's a lot of drivers that want to be able to go and do cool things, and you got to separate yourself a little bit and do something different. And luckily for me, something worked out.
I would say it's worked out, Tyler.
I would say so too. That's great to see how things have gone for Andy as far as that goes. Andy, we got a few more things that we want to cover before we get out of here. We want to get to our news and notes segment where we react to some of the top headlines going on in the sport. And Dominic has the latest news right now. Dom, what's going on?
Well, we'll first start with Kyle Busch and taking to social media earlier this week and issuing a statement. Kyle Busch was apologizing for an incident that happened at a Mexico airport late in January. On January 27th, Busch was departing from an airport on vacation with his wife when officials screened his bag and found a caliber pistol type gun and ammunition. Busch was detained and arrested and sentenced to 3.5 years in prison with a fine of around equivalent of $1,100 US. But according to reports, the sentence can be commuted if it's under 4 years, and he may have to pay an additional fine. Those details aren't known just quite yet. But Tyler, with Busch taking the initiative and putting the statement out like he did a couple days back, it seems like, to me at least, right, as an outsider looking in, maybe trying to get ahead of the curve and just putting it out there, hey, this happened, let's move past it.
Yeah, this was a surprising story. I wasn't expecting to read this about Kyle Busch, but nonetheless, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, going to be any distraction at all. Kyle Busch knows what he needs to do to go compete there with Richard Childress Racing and have a big year there. We saw him run well there the other night in the Clash. Pretty bizarre story, but I don't think it's going to end up being that big of a deal. What about you here with on this story here? I mean, so bizarre. We don't talk about these things happening, Andy, very often. What did you make of this story about Kyle Busch here?
This is the first I'm hearing of it. That certainly is quite a bizarre story. You would think that people traveling would kind of know a little bit better than that. That's a little crazy. What would possess someone to do that, especially somebody with so much to lose. So yeah, that's sort of crazy. It's sort of weird because you never really hear that kind of stuff from him. Obviously he makes he makes headlines for being the personality that he is, and I think that's all a healthy part of the sport. So Probably just chalk it up to maybe a little bit of a mistake, and hopefully it's not something that carries over and affects him into the season. As a fan, I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what he can do this year. Certainly him and Ryan Preece are the two guys I have my eye on, for the coming years. Interesting stories that, I'm kind of watching, waiting to see how they develop.
Well, and Dom, that was another thing we didn't mention off the top since Andy brought it up there. Ryan Preece, until he had the mechanical failure, was looking really good. Could have won that race had he not had the mechanical failure the other night. Big breakout performance from Ryan Preece. If we see him race like he did Sunday night throughout the rest of the season, watch out. I mean, that's going to be a playoff contender right there.
There's no reason to think he can't point his way into the playoffs. He has the equipment to do it. Who's not to say he even wins a race and gets in that way? So Ryan Preece led the most laps on Sunday night, and I think he's coming back with even more of a hunger, more of a vengeance. Like Truex, Tyler, I think he's pretty mad himself.
Yeah, I think so. What else going on, Don?
Zane Smith, the defending NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion, will be adding more races to his slate in the Cup Series, but that comes at the cost of one of his front row Motorsports teammates. Zane Smith will be adding 5 more races to his partial Cup Series schedule in 2023. He'll be in the number 38 Ford at the sacrifice of Todd Gilliland. So Zane Smith has a partner stepping up. The races that he looks like he's going to be running include Phoenix in March, Talladega in April, Sonoma in June, Texas in September, and the Charlotte Road Course race in October. And Tyler, it kind of surprises me too, because NASCAR amended the rules in the rule book where you don't need to be top 30 in points. As long as you start every Cup race, or at least attempt to qualify for every Cup race in the first 26 races, and you win an event, you can make the playoffs. Todd Gilliland is really good on the super speedways. He's a decent road course racer, picked up a top 5 finish at the Indianapolis road course race last year. It seems just mind-boggling, the fact that Todd Gilliland will be pulled for the ride and will not be playoff eligible. And I think there's a lot of moving pieces in this one.
Yeah, I've never liked when teams share rides between drivers. I understand why it's necessary sometimes. It comes down to dollars and cents sponsorship-wise. Happy for Zane Smith. Big opportunity for Zane Smith, and he's deserving. Don't get me wrong on that, but I feel bad for Todd here that he's not going to get a chance to make the playoff. Andy, what do you think of that situation there of Zane Smith getting some starts and Todd Gilliland going to be out of the car for a few races?
Man, that's the business, and it's something that I see a lot, obviously with the ARCA series, is you kind of see drivers kind of in and out of rides, and, maybe drivers that are more deserving, are having to give up rides to drivers that might not be as talented but can bring some money. So at the end of the day, I think that the cost of competing at that level is not met by what the return is as far as the equity of the races. So you need either to make it work in this day and age, the way that it's all structured, you need sponsorship, or you need another source of income, because the income that exists inside the series isn't enough to cover the balance. So I think that's sort of the nature of that series. And I think with Front Row obviously not being one of the top tier teams, it doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised actually you don't hear more of that from sort of the mid-level teams. Certainly I'm sure Hendrick and those teams can afford to, do the things the way they want to do them without having to worry about it. But I'm sure those mid-level teams that struggle for sponsorship are probably, all thinking about stuff like that.
Yeah, certainly so. Dominic, what else we get going?
Last headline before we move on to our next segment. Some sad news to pass along. The passing of NASCAR veteran racer Trevor Boyes. Trevor, originally from Canada, made some starts in NASCAR's Cup Series throughout the 1980s. And Tyler, I will say he had one of the coolest names of a race team. He tried to resurrect his Cup team in 2009 with the team name Boys Will Be Boys Racing. They didn't make any races, but I always thought that was pretty cool. But Trevor Boyes passed away in Alberta at the age of 65. Again, ran the Daytona 500, ran throughout the 1980s. Another NASCAR veteran has sadly passed on.
Andy, did you know anything about Trevor Boyes at all?
I've heard the name. I'm on the doorstep of Canada. I can be in Canada in 10 minutes. So certainly, it's kind of surprising me. I don't know a little bit more about that driver, but can't say I know a lot about him, but definitely recognize the name. But certainly a 65 and is pretty young, so that's unfortunate to hear. And always sad to hear when you hear news of losing another racer.
Oh yeah, boys will be boys racing though. That's a great team name.
Right?
Oh yeah.
That's so clever. That's a great pun on the name. And I love dad jokes. I love puns. That's like the ultimate pun joke name.
Okay, so here's a question. So, I mean, Andy, he's got his team name stuff figured out, but I'll ask this anyway. If you could pick any team name at all, and it could be funny or serious, whatever it may be, like what would be your official team name? Dominic, we'll start with you.
Man, if I could have a partner, and I did this with sim racing years ago, his last name was Butler, and mine was Autogon, so we did BA Motorsports. So it kind of sounds like Badass Motorsports. That'd be mine. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Badass Motorsports. Andy, what about you? You thought of any creative team names in the past?
Well, so we have this reputation to this day of kind of being the team that, does a little bit too much and isn't quite ready for the race. So we typically throughout the summer, there'll be nights where, we'll have a rough night and the next day we'll miss warm-ups. And we've been known to show up, for the heat race or after the heat race and start last and give her hell. We did it last year, showed up for a feature. So we have been dubbed Andy J's Flying Circus at times. So maybe that didn't ever sound professional, but certainly Andy J's Flying Circus probably is the first one that would come to mind.
I like that. How about you, Tyler?
So the name, I don't know if it's copyrighted where I couldn't use it or not, but I would use this like in fantasy and such. Was Dennett Racing, the team name from Talladega Nights. The team that Ricky Bobby and Cal Naughton race for. That was my go-to always, was a Dennett Racing. I thought that'd be a cool team name to have, a Dennett Racing. But I mean, it kind of goes to a bigger topic, Dom. The way the sport is trending, and we talked about this with David a while back, is that these teams are building their own brands now. Team Trackhouse, 2311 Racing, Legacy Motor Club. As we've gone to the this system of the charter system, now we're seeing these teams develop their own brands and franchises of sorts here.
Absolutely. Trademark opportunities. I think if you cannot have necessarily a first and last name attached to it, but rather some sort of identity that people can get behind, I think that's where the future of, at least of the Cup Series ownership, looks like where it's heading. You brought great examples up there with Trackhouse, Legacy Motor Club. You're right, not necessarily somebody's name, but more of an entity. It sounds like a team name.
Right. And I would expect that long after Joe Gibbs and Richard Childress are gone, there's no reason why those teams probably wouldn't still be RCR and JGR, that brand name they've built up and done things that way. So time for our final segment, our Ask David segment. We ask you to submit questions to us, whether it's on Facebook, Twitter, or by email. Facebook.com/Starr Podcast, Twitter at Starr Podcast, and also by email, davidstarrpodcast@gmail.com. First question in the inbox this week comes from Barry, and Barry wants to know, Andy, what's the worst way people have butchered your name?
Wesley Outland. He's a reporter for Fox Sports 1. He did the video broadcast for the Southern Modified Series, the Coma Iron Series 2015, and we had a race at Orange County Speedway, and we're up there racing for the lead, and everyone back here in Buffalo was home watching it on the TV, and he added vowels and took away vowels and made up letters, and I was Jankowiak and Jankowiak and everything else, to the point where I had to hunt this man down at the next event and find him and scold him and correct him, and as it turns out now, we're awesome friendship came from it, and I was just actually on his podcast a couple weeks ago. I'm on with him probably once every 6 months, and we have a very, very good friendship, and we try to get together and go out to eat here and there. So he's one of my very friends now. So you got a funny backstory to go with it.
That's great. That's great. Dominic, there's some people that butcher your last name.
Oh, plenty. So it's Aragon. It's a Spanish last name from Spain. Yeah, you said it right, but I've gotten Aragon, which is probably the most common one, or Aragon. I have Octagon once, believe it or not.
Octagon.
I don't know how somebody added a C and a T, but I'll take it. Or sometimes people will be like,
and an O.
there we go. Exactly. Like Aragon, like that dragon movie or whatever. I'm like, yeah, sure, kind of, whatever. I guess that's Eragon, so it's close. But I imagine not many people have butchered your name.
Tyler Jones, if you can't say my name, you probably can't read. Basically at that point, it's not that difficult. But here's, I was thinking about this, Dom, with your last name and some of these names that people butcher here. It's do you get to a point? Question for both of you. Do you get to a point where you just laugh, or does it get frustrating at times when people how bad some people say?
Yeah, I would say I get a little frustrated. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's like, okay, that was pretty funny, or like it's a new one or a unique one, which doesn't happen often. Okay, it's kind of cute, I guess. But sometimes it's like, really, Andy, I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah, I usually just try to go into teacher mode. If you really read my name, there's no tricks. I mean, you got to be patient. But if you sound it all out, all the vowels make the correct sounds, and Jankowiak. It's all there. So you just gotta try not to hurry it up too much.
That's funny. That's a good question. And then the next question that came into the inbox, this one from Maurice, question for all of us. Maurice wants to know, hey guys, who do you have winning the Super Bowl this week? Andy, let's start with you.
Well, my vinyl guy for the ARCA team has the contracts to do all the buses for the parade party for the Philadelphia Eagles if they were to win. So I'm rooting for my buddy to get that contract because that's good for his business and he helps my business. So that would be good for him, good for me. And I am a Buffalo Bills fan, and seeing the Kansas City Chiefs get knocked down a notch in the AFC would probably be the better situation for us after a terrible year. So going into next year, probably be have them come in a little more beat up might help us. So I guess I'm going with the Eagles.
Okay. Not hard to figure out who I'm rooting for. I'm a diehard Chiefs fan. Want to see another Chiefs Super Bowl. Can't wait for it and everything. But I'll be honest, guys, I think the Eagles are the better team. I'm picking the Eagles. I hope I'm wrong, but I think the Eagles are going to get it done. But it should be a fantastic Super Bowl coming up this Sunday. Dominic, what do you think of the matchup, man?
That's what I love about you, Tyler. I love giving you crap. Oh, you pick the Chiefs every week. No, you are a realistic fan, and there's not many that are like that. I'm like that as a Packers fan. I always tell everybody we're going to make the playoffs and choke. Well, team didn't even make the playoffs this year. But my heart's with the Chiefs. I do want to see the Chiefs win, but I think the Eagles are going to pull it out Sunday. I wish Patrick Mahomes was healthier and playing at 100%. I don't know. I think it's going to be a close game, guys, but I think the Eagles do pull it out.
Okay. Very nice. Any Super Bowl Sunday plans for you guys as far as what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'll be in Grants with the family. We'll be celebrating and having some New Mexico cuisine. We'll have some guacamole, some salsa, some taquitos. It's going to be good.
Guacamole all night long?
Like that Texas Tornado song. You got it.
Yes. Andy, your Super Bowl viewing, are you delivering pizzas at that time, you said?
No, I have to be in North Carolina to start getting ready for Daytona, so I have to get my shift covered. So I will be on the scales with the crew chief setting up the race car for Daytona on Sunday. So I'm hoping that he wants to quit like somewhere around 5 so I can go find a bar or go back to my family's house and watch the game. So my family that I stay with, my cousins, they are not huge football fans. but I'm hoping that, maybe they can watch the commercials and I can watch the game. So we'll see how that
There
goes.
you go.
There we
Yeah,
go.
no puppy bowl on the TV, the Super Bowl, right?
No.
Oh man, that's great. Guys, before we go here, just real quick around the room, Andy, what's going on with you these next few days? Your lead up to Daytona. When do you head out, and when are we going to see you on the racetrack?
Yeah, so I'm working one more day tomorrow, and then I'm all done with work for a couple weeks, and then I'm actually going to I'm going to try to get out. So a friend of mine actually bought an ARCA car to go to Daytona, and I told him I'd spend a couple hours out there with him and kind of help him get that car, see if I can find anything, help him get a little situated. And I have a couple lunches to do with some of our Daytona sponsors before I go, some of our Buffalo connections. So we're going to iron out some plans as far as what's going to go on the car and travel, and we're going to kind of iron all that stuff out. And then I'll be loading up all of our pit equipment into my 2001 Ford Focus, and we'll be on the road hopefully Saturday morning.
Very nice. That's exciting. Dominic, you and I here, we got a few more days to just enjoy ourselves before we make our way with Andy and David and everybody, all our favorite friends down Daytona here in about a week or so.
And embark on another NASCAR season and NASCAR coverage. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to get out there in just a few days upon us, Tyler.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Guys, that does it for Let's Go Racing this week. Next week will be our full-on season preview. We have not one, but two shows of Let's Go Racing next week. We'll have our normal midweek show, and then we're going to do a show, I believe, Saturday night live from Daytona International Speedway. So look forward to that next week here on Let's Go Racing, as we'll get you all set with everything you need to know for the big race, the Great American Race, that is. As always, you can subscribe to Let's Go Racing. New episodes out each and every Wednesday on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review, or don't leave us one at all. Hit the like button on YouTube. We certainly would appreciate it. And follow us on social media, facebook.com/Starr Podcast, Twitter at David Starr Starr Podcast, and by email, you can email us, davidstarrpodcast@gmail.com. For Andy, Dominic, our entire crew, I'm Tyler Jones saying so long. It's been another edition of Let's Go Racing. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.